Welcome to another episode of 5 Things I Learned on the GUINTERNET this week. Today we are talking about a few different things: diminished blues licks, fluid harmony, negative harmony, bunch of harmony, how to play over a sus chord, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Allan Holdsworth scale that I talked about in the previous episode. All right, here we go. We're going to start with Timothy Lurch's fluid harmony. And there's a lot to say about this one. I'm going to show you basically everything I learned from this video, or everything that was in that video. So it's kind of like a chord melody type of thing. Imagine you have this chord progression. He uses it from the classic standard Autumn Leaves, where he plays A minor, D7, G major 6, C major 7, F sharp minor 7 flat 5, or half diminished 7, B7, back to E minor. Well, to E minor. Again, A minor, D7, G6, C major 7, F sharp half diminished 7, B7, E minor. All right, now the first thing he shows us is to keep the top note of the chord in all chords throughout that progression. So we're going to start with the note D and play all of those chords with the note D. So it's going to change the makeup, the character of those chords a little bit. Which is really cool. Now we're going to do it with an E. Next is an F sharp. F sharp. Pretty cool. Next up is to move the top note. So we'll start on a D. Next thing we're going to do is start on a C note. Now we're going to do some descending movements. Nice. Next up is chromatic movements, ascending. We're going to start on a D. So that wasn't truly chromatic. A couple notes you have to do a whole step, so otherwise you're going to get some pretty rough harmony. Now let's start on an E. Next up is 2 notes per chord, but still starting or still doing chromatic. Let's start with that D. I had to change the C major 7 into a C dominant 7 there, just like he does in the video. Now let's do some descending chromatic. Okay, so that's it for the fluid harmony. Some really cool sounds in there, and it's a way to break out of just playing the same position of chords. Another thing I learned this week was this technique or this lesson about negative harmony, which I think is just another name for modally borrowing, but I think it has more to do with chord substitutions. And the link to the original video will be in the description. So imagine you have C major scale or C Ionian ascending, and then you play C Aeolian or C minor scale descending. Next, we're going to build chords on each of those notes respective to their key signatures. So C major 7, we're going to go up with Ionian. C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G7, A minor 7, B half diminished 7, back to C major. Now if we descend with the minor, we're going to start with C minor, C minor 7, B flat dominant 7, A flat major 7, G minor 7, F minor 7, E flat major 7, D half diminished 7, C minor 7. Now let's substitute some progressions with their negative harmony and see if they sound good. Let's take a regular 2-5-1, D minor 7, G7, C major 7. So we know what that sounds like. What's the negative harmony of that? Well, let's look at our chart. It'd be a B flat dominant 7 instead of the D minor 7, and then an F minor 7, and then a C minor 7. It's a progression that totally works. You could totally make music with that. Again. Pretty cool. Let's pick one more progression. Let's go 1, 3, 2, 7, 1. So 1, 3, 2, 7, 1. All right, so we want to start with a minor now. So instead of my 3, instead of my E minor 7, I want an A flat major 7. C minor 7, A flat major 7, that's now going to the 6 in a minor key. Next is a 2, a D minor 7. I want to hit, what do I want to hit? I want to hit a B flat 7. And then I want to hit a D half diminished 7. Alright, so that again was C minor 7, A flat major 7, B flat dominant 7, D half diminished 7. Totally works. It totally creates a new song. What if we just picked one negative harmony chord in a major key from the respective minor key? Now we're just doing modally borrowing. Let's see if it works though. Let's take that same progression and go 1, C major 7, E minor 7, D minor 7, B half diminished 7, C. So instead of that 3 chord, I want to take the 6 chord again and see if it works. Totally works. Really like that. Instead of that chord, we went. Next video I watched was something called Robben Ford's Diminished Blues Licks or something like that. Basically it talks about implementing the half-whole diminished scale into a blues setting. Say you got like basically a dominant blues type of thing. You could play this lick move it up in minor thirds because all of those notes are inside of the half whole diminished scale. So you can play this lick up minor thirds because it's symmetrical, just like the half whole diminished scale is. Pretty cool thing. The other thing I learned from the diminished blues licks lesson was something I already knew, but I thought I'd share it with you. It's called the gospel lift. Say you're playing a blues, you go to the 4 chord, and you have to return to the 1. So instead of plainly just going back to the 1, you can raise the root of that 4 chord, D7, to an E flat, which changes the entire chord to an E flat fully diminished 7 chord, which makes it a little bit more spooky, a little more tense, and it has a nice resolve back to your 1, and that's before you go to your 5 chord, etc. They call that the gospel lift because it's popular in gospel music. The next thing I wanted to talk about was how to play over a sus chord like this C sus4, which is just C, F, and G, 1, 4, 5, which I haven't really played over a lot of sus chords in my time. Doesn't come out in a lot of the music that I play, but I'm trying to expand my horizons here. So I'm going to loop that. Well, actually, before I loop it, let's talk about the theory that I learned from Gabe in one of the groups, one of the Facebook guitar groups that I'm in. Amazing theory here that's about to happen. So let's buckle up a little bit. So playing over this sus chord, you can have basically, let's start with 2 options. You can play a minor pentatonic or a major pentatonic over the 4. So if it's C, F, and G, go to the F, and then play a major pentatonic or a minor pentatonic. Let's see if either of those sound decent. I got a little loop going here with the C sus4 chord. Here's the F minor pentatonic on top of that. Works for me. What about major pentatonic? Works pretty nice. So now here's where it gets a little bit wild. Using the major pentatonic, F, G, A, C, D, you're going to play minor scale or Aeolian with each of those notes as the root note. So you're going to have F Aeolian, G Aeolian, A Aeolian, C Aeolian, and D Aeolian. This is over the major pentatonic. So I'm going to loop that and go through all of those scales here. F minor on top of that sus chord. Now I'm going to play G minor over top of that sus chord. Okay, next up is A minor. Different. Sounds good though. C minor. That's pretty cool. And then finally D minor. Pretty cool. Next up is playing major scale on top of the notes from the minor pentatonic, F minor pentatonic. So we got F, A flat, B flat, C, and E flat. We're going to play Ionian with those as all of our root notes. So F Ionian. That works. We're going to play A flat Ionian. One's pretty cool. B flat Ionian. C Ionian. And then we're going to play E flat Ionian. So what's really cool about this, theoretically, is that the notes C, F, and G are in all, 10, 12 of those scales, your major and minor pentatonic, and then all of your Ionian and Aeolians that exist on top of those major and minor pentatonic notes as the root note. What I think would be helpful is to find those three notes in all of those scales so you can kind of center your lead playing around those notes. Okay? The other phenomenon that happens is in all of those scales, there is no F sharp. And for good reason, too. It's a half step above that magic sus chord or sus note. So that's a lot. It's a lot of different options. I'd probably be happy just switching in between major and minor pentatonic. But pretty fun stuff to explore. Thanks a lot to Gabe. The last thing I wanted to talk about was this scale, which I think somebody called the Noctagonal whole tone or Augmented Noctagonal, something like that, because there's basically a bunch of augmented chords within the scale. It's a 9-note scale. I mean, noctagonal. I think that's the correct word. So what I wanted to share with you is I built all the chords that I think exist within that scale. G major 7, G major 7 sharp 11, G major 7 sharp 5, G major 9, G minor 7, G minor 9, G minor 7 flat 5, G minor 7 flat 13, G dominant 7, G9, G7 sharp 9, G7 sharp 11, G7 flat 13, G minor major 7, G minor major 9, G minor major 7 sharp 11. So you can have fun with this scale, which again goes like this. I was starting it on the A. But someone online said, who I got the name of the scale from, I can't remember the person's name, said to start the scale on the G and play it over just the dominant chord. So I did one further. I was like, I'm going to figure out all the chords that exist in here. And I went ahead and looped every single chord and tried playing it on top, and you get some pretty wacky sounds. Again, the scale is, to me, a bit challenging because it's very out sounding, and I'm kind of new to playing out. So I'll play it over a G dominant 7 to give you a little bit of a feel for the experimentation I was working with. G dominant 7, I'm going to play the scale starting on G. kind of a wild sound. It's going to take me a bit of getting used to that, and not just going up and down the scale, which we all kind of do when we first learn a new scale. But this is new because it's got all this chromaticism and this augmented stuff in there, and it's got 9 notes, which is more than we're kind of used to, with a pentatonic being 5 or a septatonic scale being set with 7. Anyway, have fun with that, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.